Hi y'all, I'm back for part 2 of the Comparative Tarot video response to Gypsy Chique. She's doing a really fantastic video series on the major arcana, and what she's doing is showing you the different cards from her decks and comparing symbolism. And it's really fascinating, so I thought that would be not only a fun project to do for myself, but also something neat to share with you, because if you're a deck hoarder like I am, there might be something that you see in a deck that you might want to, a new deck you might want to pick up that you absolutely have to have. Or it's a really great project, I think, for learning tarot, to see the different symbolisms in the different decks, different symbolism in the different cards of different decks, pardon me. So in my last video we did the Fool and the Magician, and in this video we're going to do the High Priestess and the Empress. So we're going to start with the Mary Hanson Roberts Tarot again. We see again the same types of colors, very soft, and although the High Priestess is very formal, the colors are not as formal. We have the black and the white pillar. We don't have the J and the B for Boaz and Jakin in this one, but we have the triple goddess symbol. We have the scroll here, and it's a much closer image than Rider-Waite-Smith. Next one is the Robin Wood. We have a very different High Priestess here. This is more of a pagan, Wiccan type view of this. We have, instead of the pillars, we have a white tree back here and a black tree. We have the moon here, and also in her headband there's a crescent moon. We have a book instead of obviously the scroll of the Torah, which obviously we're not going to have in a pagan deck, and a crystal ball here. And in this one, just as in the Magician that I showed you a couple minutes ago, or in my previous video, in the Robin Wood deck, we have a High Priestess who does not look like she's miserable to be there. So we have somebody who, the light is being sort of manipulated by someone sitting in front of it. My apologies. We have someone who doesn't look like they're upset with having all these mysteries or knowing all these mysteries. So I like that in that deck. Next we have the Joie de Vivre by Paulina Cassidy. And here again we have a nice looking High Priestess, like she's not just absolutely miserable to be there. We have the moon, crescent moon underneath with cats, which is a really neat symbolism of feminine energy, I think, too. The bunny here, there's a lot to see here, and you're not going to be able to see it all, but, you know, it's the colors are happy, even though they're soft. And it still, I think, gets the message across of the sort of inner knowing and more feminine aspects to the High Priestess, but is not as somber a card as some of the High Priestess cards. This is one of my favorites. This is the Paulina Tarot, and I love this High Priestess so much. You get the idea of two pillars here, the moon and the back. You don't get the black and the white in this one, but you have some critters here that are going to be impossible for you to see on both sides of this, really, what they are. Some other things down here, but my favorite thing about this card is, can you see the eyes inside her cloak? This really gives you a feeling of her knowing mysteries that you're not going to know, this inner knowing as being a part of her. So this is one of my favorite High Priestesses ever. And this one is more somber, the colors are more somber, but this entire deck is more somber than the Joie de Vivre deck by quite a bit. Next we have the Crystal Visions Tarot by Jennifer Galasso. Again, we have the moon here. We have butterflies, which are common across this deck. We don't get the sense here so much of, we don't have the sense of water. We don't have the sense of a veil in a sense, or at all really. You know, we have the wings here, but and so I think there is some important symbolism here missing, really. And I don't think we get that same sense in this card of that inner knowing, of knowing mysteries that it's either not yours to know at this time or not yours to know because only she holds the knowledge. We don't have a book. So I don't know, maybe that's one of the reasons that I quit reading with that deck, because I really felt like there were some things missing. I don't know. This is the Witch's Tarot by Ellen Dugan. And under here, instead of water, we don't see water behind the pillars either, but under here, instead of water, we see, like she's sitting on the moon, and this is deep space. So that, I think, gives you that same sense. And we have the pillars back here. We don't have them as B and J as Boaz and Jachin, but you wouldn't really expect that in a witch's deck. I wouldn't expect it. You have the symbol of the triple goddess in her crown. It's difficult to see. And here, even with her clothing, she's a little more open, which I find is refreshing. Again, you're not going to see a scroll with Torah on it, which is good. I like that. So, like I said in my video, a couple of videos back, when I was talking about different tarot decks, I'm not fond of Christian symbolism. It's not something that resonates with me at all, for a variety of reasons that I won't get into here. But I like the cards in more pagan, witchy decks because I prefer that they don't have the Wicca or the Christian symbolism, like the book in her lap saying Torah and the cross and the outfit that makes her look more like a nun. And you have this wonderful black cat here, which is a perfect way, I think, of expressing more feminine mysteries and energies. Then we have sorry, I'm about to lose cards off the edge here. We have now this one you're going to get more of a traditional symbolism. This is the Morgan Greer Tarot. Here we have the moon underneath. We see the water in the back here. We do see the pillars, although they're not in as much detail as they are in a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. We have, unfortunately, the cross. We get the sort of the veil and the robes that really give her more of a sense of the feeling of a nun versus a high priestess, I think, in a sense. We have the scroll in her lap. It's not marked Torah, which is nice. And we have this overall feeling of this blue, purpley feeling, which also, I guess, assists us with those feeling of sort of inner watery knowledge. Seems like I'm missing something here. Maybe I'm just losing my mind. Distinct possibility. Universal, they call it the Universal Weight, Rider-Waite-Smith High Priestess. Again, it's the same image as you're going to get on a Rider-Waite-Smith card. We have Boaz, Jachin. We have the pomegranates here. In the back we can see the water, the still water. We see the triple moon goddess in her crown. We get the cross here, and the scroll does say Torah. So obviously you're going to get the more Christian symbolism, just like this is a Rider-Waite-Smith deck recolored. Okay, I don't think the images are redrawn, but even if they are, it's the same thing recolored by Mary Hanson Roberts. I don't think she redrew the images. I'd have to take a closer look, and I don't have a Rider-Waite-Smith deck to compare it to, and to be honest with you, it really doesn't matter one way or the other, because it's a much better deck. This is the Tarot Illuminati. This one is really fascinating. In this one, we get the same sense of her being very covered and sort of veiled, but not in the same Christian symbolism sense. We don't see a cross on her. We do see the triple goddess image. It just looks a little bit different here. We see the moon up here shining through the window. We do see the two pillars, and they do have Boaz and Jachin on them. That's what the B and the J stand for. So you do get a bit of a Christian symbolism, but I don't think that says Torah. I can't see it closely enough to tell you that. I don't think it does. And we get the sense of water with the symbols on her gown and the way that the gown just, we get the sense of a lot of folds to it, a lot of layers to the knowledge that she possesses in the symbolism of the layers of her gown and veil. Stunning, like all of the Tarot Illuminati cards are. They're just gorgeous. Anyway you slice it. This one is a really cool High Priestess card. This is the World Spirit deck. Again, we have a more pagan image, so we have more of a ritual circle feel and a High Priestess conducting a ritual. There aren't people, though, which is interesting, so that gives you not so much the symbolism of the goddess within ritual, but a High Priestess who has knowledge that is not being shared with other people. We have the moon here, like a grove of trees here, and then the shadow here, which I think is really helpful for the inner mysteries type. They're like red daisies. I don't know if there's any particular symbolism behind that, but anyway. So those are the High Priestess. So we'll go back the other way, and we'll do the Empress. This one is still the World Spirit Tarot. I'm sorry, I went completely blank. And here we really get the feeling of fecundity and fertility and abundance, right, with the pregnant Empress. And she's very comfortable with herself, very comfortable in her role here. And I think this card is really good about expressing just abundance and fertility and fecundity. And I think this is a really fantastic Empress card. It's nice to see that it's not just a white European lady. That's refreshing to see other women and other women with different types of bodies and cards versus just very thin white European women. In the Tarot Illuminati, we have a thin white European woman, but it's okay. We have Gypsy Chique talked about the symbolism in her gown here, and I think it's a tree with pomegranates on it. But we have a lot of I don't know if it's all the same images as the Rider-Waite, but we have certainly the feeling of regalness, of abundance. We don't get the same feeling here of fertility as we do in other cards because she's not obviously pregnant. We do have the wheat here in her hands. And then, the scene in the back is very abundant, and obviously her dress and regalia is very, richly abundant. So we get a little bit of a different image here, or a little bit of a different feel here, as opposed to other ones. Universal Rider-Waite. She actually is pregnant in the Rider-Waite Smith deck. It's just very difficult to tell in the gown because of the way the gown is. And we have the 9 pearls for the 9 planets, 12 stars for the 12 zodiac signs in this. We have the wheat here, we have the pomegranates on her gown, and we have the feeling of abundance and fertility here. And we have, some of the yellow that I told you in this deck that it's toned down a lot, and it is, but you still have yellow skies and stuff, and I never read with that deck. I really got it as a comparison for other decks because I knew I didn't want the Rider-Waite, so I got one that wasn't quite as hideous, I thought. And I really use it as a comparative deck more than anything. Excuse me. Morgan Greer. Wonderful borderless deck. We have the moon here under her feet, and this one as well as the High Priestess. We have moving water, so we have more of an energy feeling to this. She's not obviously pregnant, but she's obviously fuller bodied. So, not the best Empress, but I think it gets the feeling across. What's interesting here is that they didn't use wheat or... Oh, no, there it is. I lied. I'm lying to you. There it is right there on the side. It's just not quite the same feel, I think, as some of the other decks. And this is the Empress in the Witch's Tarot. Very obviously pregnant. She has the stars. I have not counted those. I don't think it's the same 12 symbolism as it is. And she has the pearl necklace, but it's not the same symbolism, I think, as in the Rider-Waite Smith. We have the wheat here. We have, just a general feeling of abundance and certainly of fecundity and fertility. And the green of her gown as well. This is the Crystal Visions Tarot. This is the Empress. Here we do really get the feeling of fertility. We have the abundance. We have the wheat back here. These are probably pomegranates. I can't see it particularly well. Same butterflies, scepter. There's more of an energy to this card, I think, with the way the skies and stuff are back there in the background. It's a really nice Empress card. It's really well done. This is the Paulina Tarot. Not obviously pregnant in this, but we have the moon under here like you get a lot in the High Priestess card. Pardon me, I'm so sorry. Abundance, and you just don't get the same feel you do, I think, when the Empress is obviously pregnant. I think that's what better view of fertility, really, than having an Empress who's pregnant. The moon here, this is interesting how she's got skulls on her dress, because that really portrays in a way of the abundance of life here, but also that life is a cycle. The circle of life, like that stupid Disney movie. We have the triple goddess symbol right here. This is the Joie de Vivre. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you which tarot that was, by Paulina Cassidy. And we have the Robin Wood. And we get a little bit of a more feeling here of, obviously, she's obviously pregnant, so we get that. We get bunnies down here somewhere. Somewhere there's bunnies, I know. And we get the feeling of in the spinning wheel, like a, abundance, because there's labor, and there's an abundance of, materials. We get a little bit of a different feeling here with abundance, and I'm sure you'll pick out other symbolism to that, and you'll tell me I'm all wrong probably, but anyway, it's a really nice Empress card. In this one, she's a little more matronly, and she looks a little bit older, which is interesting. It's interesting how some of the Empress cards, she's very young, very maiden-looking, and some of the cards she's older and obviously more experienced. Mary Hanson Roberts, we get the same older-looking sort of woman here, more experienced. She's not obviously pregnant in this one, but we have some fruits here, the wheat. Not my favorite Empress card. I really like the Empress cards where they're pregnant, where it's obvious that it's an Empress. It's obvious that you get to feel the idea of fertility and nurturing and abundance. And I prefer them when they're, the symbolism is very clear in those. And out of these, I don't know really which one is my favorite Empress card. Probably the Witch's Tarot. I really like that one. And I kind of get just a feeling of more nurturing sort of anyway in that one. Anyway, it really doesn't matter. Those are the 10 tarot decks that I have to show. A comparative difference between the Empress and the High Priestess for those 10 tarot decks. I don't know if I'm going to continue this series. Leave me some comments, see what you think. If it's helpful, I may continue it. If it's helpful, I will continue it. If you think it's like a really crappy video or you don't find it helpful, I'll just keep doing this exercise as for me, and I won't share it with you guys if you don't think that it's worthwhile. So anyway, that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching. If you're still with me, bye-bye. Talk to you soon.